Then they amended the charge to brought in Benjamin Madbo, Brian Chimezie, Chidebe Omodiwe, and David Mawisi. So he was first granted bail on April 2017. Subsequent after that, he followed up and applied for bail for the remaining defendants, which was also granted by the court. Okay. And condition affected by us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, for how long did you represent him? I mean, in between that 2015 till date, for how long?
No, actively we are his lawyer from 2015 December till December 2023 when we left the team.
Okay, when you left the team.
Yeah.
Now, what was your relationship with him like?
No, it was just a client-lawyer relationship, and apart from the fact that the matter was handled pro bono exclusively, and in view of the fact that the subject matter borders on Igbo cause, so we are committed to the case. We are committed to the case and diligently prosecuted the defense to ensure that he was released and get the charge struck out.
Okay. Were you representing only Mazi Nnamdi Kanu'S, or you were also representing IPOB?
No, effectively, we were appointed. I was appointed by Nnamdi Kanu'S as his lawyer, January 2016, formalized. I have a note to that effect.
Okay.
Then, subsequent after that, after he was granted bail, then IPOB as a body, as an institution, appointed me as a lawyer. In that letter, it was signed by Nnamdi Kanu'S, letter of instruction, signed by Ejiofor and the HOD, today. So I have the letter today. So I was a lawyer to Nnamdi Kanu'S, then continued to be lawyer to IPOB until when the instruction, there's no counter instruction that affects the date. Thank you.
Now, talking about Chike Dozim, you said Chike Dozim was the HOD.
No, I said at the time the IPOB as an institution formalized my appointment as a lawyer, it was signed by 3 persons. The instruction for the legal position was signed by 3 persons. Nnamdi Kanu'S as the leader of IPOB, Ejiofor as the deputy leader, and Mazi Chike Dozim as head of directorate.
Oh, Chike Dozim has been head of directorate.
Of course.
Since 2016.
Of course.
Oh, so what is this? Okay, that's not why we are here. So because the way they are attacking Chike Dozim, one would think that he just came to IPOB.
No, he has been there since 2016. I've been there, effectively there.
Okay, which means they already have their code of conduct. They're already functioning as an organization with various units and executives.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure, of course.
Okay. Now, throughout your representation of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu'S and IPOB from 2015, when you were defending him, what was your relationship with his siblings like? Because these accusations and counter-accusation, sadly, is coming from his siblings, who, in my own opinion...
Let me just quickly address this because for want of time. Lolo, right from 2015 when he came into the matter, it was a war between us and the siblings. Many people may have forgotten that at some point his siblings made publication then.
And that's 2015?
Yes, of course, accusing the wife of hijacking the case because we are appointed by the wife. Actually, we were introduced into the case by the wife. Okay. So, and stating publicly that the wife is not Nnamdi Kanu'S wife. They disown her because of our appointment at the point. So our problem with them started from that time. And eventually we were the people that secured his bail at the point. We were the team that secured his bail that April 2017.
Now, and
they not stop from attacking us.
Okay. What is the position of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu'S siblings in IPOB?
Well, I can't just define because I'm not involved in administrative affairs of IPOB. But I know they are not part of the executive of IPOB, to my knowledge. So, and I do not think they have any influence in the decision making of IPOB as an institution.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so they do not hold any position, any leadership position in IPOB.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Okay, now, so that means you were still his lawyer as at the time he was rendition.
Sure.
Okay. Sure. How did you get to hear about his arrest in Kenya? Did you at any time hear from him or heard that he was kidnapped or arrested in Kenya?
Shortly before he was abducted in Kenya, then that was 2021, specifically in June. My house was invaded on 6th of June. So by the security agencies, during which period my PA was assassinated and bombed.
Now,
so
were you?
At that point in time, I didn't have to hear from him. So it was few weeks after that I got to hear about his abduction. I saw it on television because I was called by the press to inquire about the whereabouts of my client. I never knew at the point they were calling me. He was being taken to court on that day.
Okay, so, even while he was arrested in Kenya, you were not aware he was arrested.
Nobody told me.
Did anybody within the IPOB family, within his family, aware of his arrest in Kenya?
Not to my knowledge, because at some point when they stopped hearing from him, they were making contacts to ascertain his whereabouts. At some point, they even called me at that time. So, and I said I've not heard from him in a long while. So, and they were making inquiries, calling people to confirm whether anybody have heard from him. So, and I didn't hear from him.
Okay, there were allegations that his younger brother, Lolo Nneka Chimezie, and some of his family members.
It's not an allegation, that's a fact, because there was a publication made by Lolo Nneka Chimezie at the time, because we eventually come to realize that at the time he made this publication on social media, that it was in the hands of the security agents that abducted in Kenya. So stating that he has gone to mountain, Nnamdi Kanu has gone to mountain to pray, and nobody should bother to ask him about his whereabouts.
Okay.
So at the time he was making this publication, he was in the hands of the enemies at the point, the security agents at the time. So obviously he was aware of his whereabouts, and also he was also aware of his travel at the time in question.
Okay. So in other words, Lolo Nneka Chimezie was aware that Kanu was arrested in Kenya. Now, I want to make this. I'm trying to make a comparison between Kanu's arrest and Sunday Igboho. When Sunday Igboho was arrested in Cotonou, right? The Nigerian government were trying to rendition him to Nigeria, but it was his lawyers were able to stop them from renditioning him to Nigeria, so he was able to face trial in Cotonou. Now, in other words, if maybe they have an open door about this arrest, probably is it possible that it could be stopped if effort is made? That there may be a chance that Nigerian government will be stopped from rendition.
It's possible that if they have raised alarm at the point he was abducted in Kenya, there may be an international law that will stop them from bringing him to Nigeria, because everything was done discreetly. So, and they kept it secret. So that was why it was effectively rendition to Nigeria, obviously. Okay.
Now, there were accusations that you betrayed him. Now, that's why we are here. These are part of the things, accusations we've been seeing on social media. Now, I want everybody listening to us here to see this not an attack. You can see all these things. None were initiated by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. This is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's private life. But his siblings and those that believe that they are too loyal to him thought it wise to bring it to the public domain, exposing their brothers' private lives, exposing their leaders' private lives, just because they want to blackmail people.
Well, when you say this thing, I will need to, at this point in time, to make some clarifications and respect to the issue raised about trial. This is a person who has shown so much unmeasurable commitment to his case. On account of my exposure to the case, I was attacked severally. And my life today is by the grace of God. So I do not know any other way I will show concern or commit to this case. My house was invaded, 2019, people were killed, bombed. 2021, my house also second time invaded. I was attacked, and in all this, God saved me. Then when he was brought in here, at the point he was brought was when I was recovering from the invasion of my house. That was towards 2021 June specifically. So that was when he was brought in. Then my lawyer went to see him, and also with other lawyers. In fact, let me make this clarification also. At the time they went to visited him, because I had people calling Ejiofor, it wasn't Nneka Ejiofor physically that they gave instruction to make a communication to Simon Ekpa to broadcast on the Biafra, not me. But at the point in time, I've not seen him.
Okay, we'll come to that.
Now I'm coming. Let me make this one. Let me finish. So we prosecuted this matter, right? We took over the defense in 2021 when he was brought in. Then, in the course of this matter, he now told me that he wants to involve some senior rockets. Especially mentioned Chief Michael Zekom. Then I said, okay, no problem. He was the person that recommended it. And I said, okay. He now instructed me and Nneka to reach out to Zekom. We reached out to Zekom. Zekom now asked us to wait, to give him about Zekom said we should give him about a few months to think about the time, about the case, and revert to us. It was December that eventually made up his mind to be part of the team. That was December 2022. Made up his mind to be part of the team. That was 2021 December. Then we visited him, and they have an understanding. I'll come to that later. So we took up the defense. Out of 15 count charge, amended charge preferred against him, we got 7 struck out at the Federal High Court at the point. Then the court returned 8. We said no, we went to court of appeal. And on appeal, we got under the leadership of Zekom SN, we got the entire charge, discharged struck out. He was consequently discharged and acquitted. Not only that, the court forbid the federal government in the ruling from further prosecuting him in the federal court.
Wow! Hold on, please. Hold on.
Yes.
I wanted us to check this one after the other, but since now, are you saying that in the ruling you got?
Yeah. Judgment, not ruling.
The judgment you got for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu'S after going to now, let's start from High Court. Okay. What happened at the Federal High Court? Because I think this is the bone of contention. What happened at the Federal High Court?
When he was brought in 2021, there was an amendment to the charge, to the substitute charge.
No, so, okay, there was, the former charge, the former, he went to court.
Yeah.
So now, they now brought up the 2015 court case.
They effected a fundamental amendment to the substitute charge at the time.
Oh, okay. Kanu was still undergoing trial.
Yes, before he was
before he now left.
Yes, left here.
Okay, so when he came back, they continued.
They continued. But what they did was to amend the charge to enlarge it to 15 count charge.
Okay.
To accommodate new
charges,
infractions.
Yeah. Be using small English so that people will understand.
To accommodate new probably
charges,
alleged offenses. Yeah. So,
okay.
Then it's now they brought it up to 15 count charge. So in view of our approach, we after going through the charge, we discovered a fundamental error. Right? We now filed an objection to the charge. But before the introduction of Zekom SN in the matter, I've already filed an objection to the charge. Okay. Before he came, we now crossed T's and dotted I's, then filed a fresh amendment, a fresh objection to the charge under his leadership. Before the court ruled on it, struck out 7 count charge out of 15, remaining 8. Then we now said no, went on appeal.
The judgment now, in the judgment you got from High Court, the ruling you got, the ruling is not judgment.
It's not judgment.
Okay, ruling is different from judgment.
Yes.
So what's the difference? Sorry.
The ruling per se is a plenary decision. It's not a conclusive.
Okay, but judgment is conclusive.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, it's good we understand that. What you got from appeal court, from High Court is ruling. Now
because the court returned 8 count charge for him to face trial on that 8 count charge.
Okay.
We now went to court of appeal
to challenge
the remaining 8 count charge.
Good. Yes. Okay, in that 8 count charge, you now got him discharged and acquitted.
And not only that, the court forbade the federal government from prosecuting him again.
Now, oh my goodness, you mean in the judgment you got?
Yes.
The Court of Appeal forbid the federal government from trying him again. Good. Now, what was your relationship with his siblings like in this second trial?
I've never had a robust relationship with the siblings because they've always been against me.
So what is now, if you are doing well, no, number one, you were the first lawyer that got their brother bail. You got him bail in 2016, right?
Yes.
Good. Which means you are doing well. So you were supposed to be going. You know, when you do this work and you get this bail and discharged and acquitted easily, it's as if it's easy. Now, in this second one again, you were doing well because we were following.
Yes.
And we know that we are hearing good news. You know, every day you go to court, it was on television and I used to see you. You will come and address the press.
Well, the point is that these guys are not on the same pedestal with you. They have a different agenda from the case.
Okay.
Right from time, because it's afraid we discovered in the course of time that obviously they found the case as a money-making venture.
Okay.
And of course, you know I cannot parley with that kind of
okay, they want you to they want to bend you to listen to them. They want to have control of the case.
And it's not possible.
Now, and you said in 2015 they were attacking their brother's wife. That's Mazi Nnamdi Kanu'S wife. The point is that they say she hijacked the case.
They were attacking her because she introduced me.
Okay.
Yes. They were against my introduction in the case.
Okay.
They attacked her publicly. They made newspaper publication. Not only attacked, they even issued precedent to that effect, disowning her.
Man, this is family.
Yeah. Sure.
Do they even have now? My worry is people that will come here and attack people that you are talking about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu'S, while his siblings will bring out private matters, personal matters, family matters. They will run to the press. Even their brother's wife, I've read where they called her prostitute. I've read where they called her all manner of name. Now, when you want to come for the defense, they will run and hide behind Mazi Nnamdi Kanu'S. And then the next thing you will hear is, you are attacking Mazi Nnamdi Kanu'S. You are disrespecting Mazi Nnamdi Kanu'S. And that is why we are here today. You can't continue to bully people on social media and think that because you are Mazi Nnamdi Kanu'S siblings, people will keep quiet and tolerate. And then, these actions is affecting all of us because we know how important Mazi Nnamdi Kanu'S is to Ndiwo. And that is why we are doing this, so that either they back off or, we should take a decision. A lot of people died because of their mistakes. Now, moving forward, barrister, let's assume they felt you are not good enough. Now, when you got him bail, when you after your push and you did all these things you used to do, he was granted bail. Yes. Is that not enough to know that you are competent? Their interest should be their brother. Now, why do they continue the fight to attack you that is doing so well? Because for me, to see a good lawyer is difficult. So when you now get a good one, now you've already explained it. You said the interest is money. Probably they want you to be under their control so that they can manipulate you to do whatever they want. Now, again, let us come back to the very interesting part of it, which is, you said, while you were defending Mazi Nnamdi Kanu'S, the federal government amended the charges to 15 count charges, right? You quashed 8, remaining 7.
Yes.
Good. And that's progress.
Yeah.
At that point, were they still attacking you?
They started attacking me from 2015 to date. Even at this moment, they started attacking me.
Because I saw a letter Lolo Nneka Chimezie wrote. I think it's a petition against you to Nigerian Bar Association.
Let me just say this thing at this point. I do not want to dwell much on the heinous activities of Nnamdi Kanu'S siblings, because apparently that may have been led to the situation they found themselves today. Are you with me?
We need to. That is even the most.
The point is that you see, there's a limit to which you cannot manipulate the nation, right? My involvement in the case is divinely ordained, and I thank God that I am still alive today because of God, for His grace, because of mercy. They have done all they could to eliminate this person sitting beside you today, but God said no. including from those people we are calling Nnamdi Kanu'S siblings. So the issue of attacking me publicly on social media is really a non-issue because they've gone far beyond that part. Then, however, and I never knew about this. I never knew about these plans and this conspiracy until we visited the team. That was when I came to get information about the entire thing they planned against me and how all of them fell. What I'm telling you today is in the operation of intelligence community. Because all communication they made against me on how to assassinate me is before them. Yes.
Now, because this
is when we are actively involved in this case. We are actively involved. The letter you're talking about, someone anchored it. I don't want to go to that. Someone anchored it. Because they were not alone. It was a conspiracy among them. What was the purpose of the letter petition? Because a mere affidavit of facts, we got a judgment before the Court of Appeal, then the federal government filed an application for stay. Procedurally, we're going to challenge it. We'll file a motion to set aside the motion for stay. Promptly, timelessly. And the affidavit are deposed to. It shouldn't be a subject of public discussion.
Exactly. Now, my worry is
not the end of our case.
No, Barrister, do you know why I'm doing this? My worry is this attacking people publicly. Something that is should be your brother's private life. Now you will now attack it, accuse people, trying to demonize people. Now when people try to defend themselves, it is termed an insult or attack on Mazi Nnamdi Kanu because they knew this is trying to manipulate or use their brother's incarceration for their own benefit and then manipulating people because of the respect they have with Mazi Nnamdi.
That is the case now.
Now, yeah, that is what I'm trying to. That is the point I'm trying to make because I've gone close to them. I now realize that they are taking advantage of their brother's incarceration to enrich themselves, which they knew is bad. When you come close, you go with them. If they see, once they see that you are not buying that, they will start to blackmail.
Okay, let me say this to you. After his conviction, I made a public statement, which I believe I don't want to dwell into that. Shortly after the Supreme Court judgment, let me use this opportunity to make this in public because I've written about it in person. There was a discussion about his release, but I don't want to go into details about it. And because you see, when certain discussions were going on, you have to manage. Somebody is asking. Come back there. Obviously,
this is part of course, we are not lawyers.
I'm coming now.
Like I said.
So I'm making a point. I don't know where I stopped. When we came back from Supreme Court, the arrangement to get him. Supreme Court. Arrangement to get him.
Oh, you went to as far as Supreme Court.
Of course, and when the appeal went to Supreme Court with them. So when we came back, arrangement to get him out was probably at the concluding stage. Wow. But they were not on the law.
The law.
No, I want to tell you. I want to tell you.
You are running fast. Okay. I want people to follow us and get the gist.
So I have limited time to stay here.
Okay, wait, please. We need to do this.
Okay.
Now, you got him discharged and acquitted from Supreme Court. Even at that, his siblings were still attacking you. That aside. Now, when you got him discharged and acquitted, what happened? Why didn't the federal government release him?
Okay, now.
Okay, they filed an appeal against him to the Supreme Court.
Before the appeal was filed, when that judgment was delivered, we wrote to AG Federation at the time and DGSSS for them to comply immediately with the judgment of the court. And that judgment was not hanged on the day it was delivered. It took about 2 to 3 days before it was handed over to us. So now, immediately we got the judgment. Because as soon as we wrote to federal government, to AG Federation, the president, and also the DGSSS to get him, to release him, to comply with court judgment, we also initiated a contempt proceedings against them. Simultaneously, this took place within 24 to 48 hours. I have the records with me. So when this was going on, Even before the judgment was released to us, they filed application for stay on a Friday.
Okay, government themselves filed application for stay.
Yeah. When they saw this heat coming, when they were starting these processes, so they filed application for stay on a Friday. Then, of course, when that application before the court to hear and dispose of it before taking further step. So we now went back. We filed a motion to get, we'll counter it, right? We'll file a counter to that application, which have actually affected the status of the case. It was hard on the merit and ruling delivered. Then we now went to Supreme Court.
Now, what was the ruling?
Well, the court said stay the execution of judgment of the court.
Okay, they granted the stay. Now, because for the benefit...
I'm coming. Because the decision of the court at that point is within the court discretion.
Yes.
You don't need to fight the court. You don't need to fight the judge. You don't need to condemn the justices. What you do need to do is to follow the later judicial process. We even cross appeal against that ruling. Sure. We cross appeal against the state decision of the court of appeal. We cross appeal against the ruling. So then we now want to go to Supreme Court. So I can't go to SSS and say I want him to be released to me and start fighting the S officials.
No, it's not done.
This what's supposed to do.
This is not the first time the federal government is denying release of someone that was granted bail. They've done it to even big politicians. You know, eventually today, how many times have they granted him bail and they refused to? Now, when you got to Supreme Court, what happened? What happened in Supreme Court?
Well, in Supreme Court, they allowed the appeal. And directly they should go back to face trial for the federal court. Okay. Then we had a decision. We had a meeting among the legal team, me and Ozekome and other people, in the question of other people who obviously are distractors. So we developed a template. Our understanding was that we will not face trial, we will not submit itself for trial.
Okay. So now, your understanding you had.
Allow me to make clarification. That's affecting the flow of my speech. Okay. So we took a decision that will not submit itself for trial. Then to explore other options of getting him out. And at that point in time, there was an understanding to get him out. There was ripe understanding to get him to free him. I can say that authoritatively to you. Ozekome can also confirm that to you. Then, in our discussion, because where he was being detained, I mean, when we usually conduct meeting with him, he's fully booked. There are certain things you don't need to lecture to him, but I now made him to understand there are movements going on. And obviously, because he always discussing with the brothers, he always confiding in them. So as soon as the brothers got an inkling about the plans to get him out, they started. That was when they went on there, say we have started, and then convince him to disengage Ozekome. Okay. Are you with me? So thinking that the understanding we are trying to reach at the point, right? That as soon as we get to federal high court, then we'll be freed. Okay. You see, in the bias, no one ever knows. Now, but there's no problem. So as soon as they move there, okay, they want to double cross and claim the victory. As soon as they got there, they started making application. When they apply for bail, it will thrown out because they were not part of the discussion. They were not part of the understanding. They don't know what to discuss. So, and that was what exposed the case to where we are today. Where they are today. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. People are complaining. They said I'm interrupting you. That's allowing you to flow. So now, a team, obviously you and I know there were also treason. And now they never consulted me. Are you hearing me? Yes. To disengage Ozekome. So we came on a meeting because before then it was all over the news. The brother has been boasting all over the places that Ozekome is gone, Ejiofor is gone. So when we visited him that day, then we have to. Ozekome was forced to see him. So he told Ozekome that he's no longer interested in having anybody defending. So in this one side of the story to hear from the horse's mouth. In other words, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu'S would have been a free man today if his siblings had not so 2024, yeah, sure. Okay. As far back as 2024. Yeah. Okay, now going to High Court, even if you have a good case, your lawyer will make it to be a bad case. Sometimes you will have a bad case if you have a good lawyer.
It can be a good case. Now, it can be a good case. Now, if you are not documented from the High Court to Court of Appeal to Supreme Court.
Well, let me just simply say this without probably going into deep into the merit otherwise. I mean, the nature of defense is clear. The issue of conviction in my write-up. But in a summary, you see, the point is that he was ostensibly riding under the misleading impression of show me the law, as propounded by his handlers. When I mean handlers, I mean the content creators who are his legal consultants, prioritizing the content creation. That was what led to the instruction that led to where they are today. Okay. Because the point is that when people have agreed to subject yourself to trial, it's what they should do. When you have agreed to subject yourself to trial, the ideal thing for you to do is to defend your case, offense involved, or evidence against him. The fact is that he has the best of brain. He had the best of brain at the time. The likes of Tana SN, likes of Emeka Tiaba SN, likes of Onyechi Bass SN. You look at SN. These are the best of brain you can talk about in a general bar session. And they're all members of the bar, distinguished in this profession. Even if there will be conviction, if at all there will be conviction, there must be a soft landing to that effect. Okay. Right? But some persons,
it may not have been
some persons who prioritize content creation and who, in the course of the trial, disengage themselves and transform to legal advisors or legal consultants, then probably in accord with him, because he's clear about what he's doing, was not at the point. In accord with him, decided to be talking about the concept of show me the law. Show me the law.
Now, what is his chances? Because I know.
No, I don't want to discuss that. No, I don't discuss that.
It could be content.
No. It's a matter before the Court of Appeal. So
okay, we cannot. Okay, I would have wanted us to, because people are, for the way I understand it, it's not as easy as his followers are looking at it. It is not as easy. They think he can just walk out of that court just like that. You say you don't want to talk about it, let me explain that. Now, about the payment, which this area again was actually what angered me and why I wanted you to explain. There were this about, you said you defended Kanu on pro bono from 2015 to 2023, and then we begin to see payment, which I think is unnecessary, because in fact it was there that people begin to understand that Kanu was handling IPOB money alone, which his members were comfortable with that. His members, it will come up, don't worry. His members were comfortable with that, so we didn't know. But his siblings, in their bid to blackmail you, actually exposed how IPOB finances were managed. But let's talk about yours. They released, they said they pay you $100,000. Although I wanted to see the receipt. People were now expecting, I think you requested for the receipts, they should show, but they will now saw a receipt of $19,000 and $10 million. 10 million naira. What happened to the 100,000 naira? $100,000 they say they paid you.
Then let me make this clarification once again. If not for the intervention of respected senior members of the Barr, by now of publicly met the transfer receipt, which I used in the meeting, the $19,000 to him, back to him, because he knew where he is. He knew that the money was sent back to him. I have the receipt. Though the matter, because I've taken some person to court.
Wait, come again. Which one did you have?
I'm talking about $19,000.
When was that money paid?
That was 2021.
Okay, 2020.
Or 2020, about 2020.
Okay.
So, and he now specifically requested I should send the money back, that it wasn't meant for my professional fees, and I sent it back to them. I have the receipt because of the misleading publications and falsehoods obviously who are going to the coming days or probably coming weeks, besides the process of filing court against them. I have to keep it to myself. Then two, I have the instruction of Ozekome to tell you that if anybody, that woman there, because I had wanted her, I said, we set a trap for her.
You
She
meant
wasn't
that
careful.
and then,
Yeah, the woman said he paid $100,000 to Ozekome. I had wanted her to go and publish. Now, but I had wanted her to publish it. But by now, she'll be clean off inside the prison in Germany. She will set trap for her. I'm waiting for her to make her publication. That's why she can't publish anything. We have records, I will show it to you. For which the money should be sent back, remitted back, and I complied. Right? Now, the fact that they made it public now is part of their scheme, right? To cover up what they're doing. But I'm ready for them. Clean up somewhere. That's why she can't publish anything. I challenge her to publish something. Let her publish.
Okay. They also claim, what about the 10 million naira they said they paid? I think that was on 2020.
Let me say this to you. You see, I have always been a careful person in managing these guys. These people. Listen to me a lot. Do you know when he was brought in here, Nnamdi Kanu was brought in here in 2021? And a meeting was held sometime July, about or August 2021. He now said that you impanel a team of lawyers who are going to work with me. And he said he wants to give them 10 million naira. I said, okay. Mazi Nnamdi was there. Nneka Ejiofor was there. My head of chambers was there in a group meeting. And he said, who will pay this money? I said, don't pay to me. And that's okay. He will give instruction for them to transfer the money to the account of my head of chambers. Right? So she can share among the lawyers.
To encourage them.
Yeah, these people and their lawyers that work under them participated in sharing this money. It wasn't my fees at all. And that's why we have we have evidence of distribution of this money, which is today. We still have it today. So I had wanted them to come and debunk it. I would be. Now, when Benjamin had book, Bright Chimezie, and David Mabusi was granted bail. There was a bond of certain amount of money, running to tens of millions, about 40 or 50 million. Each of them was, is it 50 million? Okay, 10 million. 40 million for them to pay. I called Nnamdi and I said, look at the condition court gave. And why the court gave that condition was because of what happened in Nnamdi Kanu'S case. I mean, the circumstance led to the escape. Said no, that there must be a bond that we must fulfill. That bond we are going to pay 40 million. I called them, I notified them about the money. Nobody could produce 1 naira. On my own, I undertake after studying I reached out to people to get money to pay for this to come out. And that was all. The records there, the evidence are there.
Now, my worry.
So I'm telling you my level of commitment to the case.
So which means after he left, you continue to represent the rest of the IPOB members.
Of course.
And these services you render them on pro bono.
I went to Ebonyi. I conducted a trial in Ebonyi for 5 years.
And it's on pro bono.
Sure.
That was when.
And during this period of time, we got 5 judgments. We were at some point discharged appointed. The government brought before Joseph Otoche. Why tried before him?
Wait, when did you resign from Nnamdi Kanu'S case?
No, I left Nnamdi Kanu'S case 2023 and I was
No. In 2024, you are still representing and bailing IPOB members.
Of course, till date.
And nobody is appreciating you.
Now let me finish. When they were brought in without
now, this Mazi Nnamdi Kanu'S siblings, with all this effort, my worry is people, IPOB is an organic thing. Even my involvement too is still an organic thing. Now, people.
So I will say it in a manner you understand. So there's a limit to which you can switch over to finish to which you can.
Let's not talk about.
No, I'm coming. The fact is that.
And the rest of them and all the fundraising, do they make out money for these other IPOB members that are in jail? Because for me, Mazi is not the only person in jail.
The point is that. I don't have any financial dealing with Ndene. I never had any financial dealing with her. So if she's giving money to other people, I may not be in a position to say that.
Were there other lawyers? Were there other lawyers that are
because the fact is that I do not think she's in a position to give money to release money to anybody without the approval of the IPOB as an institution.
Okay.
Because we have head of directorate there, we have the principal officer of IPOB. So if she has any reason to release money to anybody, they must sanction it. So any money, to my knowledge, I don't have any financial dealing with.
When there was a fundraising for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and Chike Dozem now requested to know how much was raised. Probably, and Nayanya told Chike that he doesn't have a right to ask questions about money. And Methuselah boldly said, because, money is not being released, or are you still in contact with the DOS? Are you still, working hard in releasing other people in jail?
The fact is that what is playing out between Nene and the head of the directorate and the DOS is to tell you the level of insubordination and disconnect.
Yeah.
So which I may not wish to dwell much. Because you're supposed to be accountable to them. And as Haneda said, I don't have any financial dealing with her. And they should know the best way to handle her, which I believe they are handling.
Okay. Now, there seems to be a lot of disconnects and a lot of battles in IPOB right now. And from what people are saying on social media, it seems Mazi Nnamdi Kanu does not have a robust relationship with the DOS as their lawyer. Because I believe that if they don't work together, I think it's like they've abandoned the struggle. They are not down. The main aim now is the soul of IPOB, the leadership of IPOB.
That's when it will stop. But if you continue to share it, if I continue to pretend as if you're deceiving yourself, I know really what's playing about
In fact, that is even the one. So, now, what I discovered, and I've met the reality, and he is the only person that can put IPOB in order. And people now tell me that I'm insulting him. Now, what is the way forward for IPOB? This is a very beautiful organization. I think the best all over in the world. They have their presence.
The way forward, Lolo, one is being addressed by the people in charge.
Okay.
Sure. And of course, you will observe there is some level of sanity in Igbo land now and peace. Are you not aware?
Yeah, and that is what I'm fighting. I don't want a reputation.
I'm coming. There's some certain level of sanity and peace in Igbo land.
Yes.
It's been someone is accounting for it.
Wow.
Are you with me?
Wow.
You see, when they are doing everything possible to change the methodology and approach. So that's why I have to commend the US, because they are responsible for what you're seeing today happen in the Southeast. They've come to realize that a lot of things has gone wrong.
Okay.
And there has to be a change in that position.
Okay.
Are you with me? And of course, you can see that people are hardly arrested today. You can observe that. And see that what's happening. People move around. Some of these people are coming to visit him, cannot come before now. Are you with me? Some people are coming to visit Nnamdi Kanu cannot come down if it was last week.
Okay.
But because they are taking appropriate step, right step, to change the methodology, to reconcile with our people, and also to ensure that the proper thing is done. That's why you are seeing some level of sanity in Igbo land.
Okay.
Are you with me?
Yeah.
Of course, and it continues.
Okay.
Now, so they have to be commended.
Now, a quick one before we now close this interview. This my platform is on fire, really. Okay, now what is the possibility of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu getting? If we get good lawyer, look. To be honest, everybody wants him.
No, let me just say this thing. You know, I'm a lawyer. I'm a very respectable lawyer. I said to you today, this afternoon, since after we left visited Nnamdi Kanu's legal thing, December 2023, I've refused to grant any press conference, interview, to any media platform. This should be the first time I'm talking about his case. And I was prompted, I was compelled, in view of the fact that there are some falsehoods being peddled in social media. We need to be clarified. I don't want to engage or discuss anything about his appeal or discuss anything about his predicament. I've done also a public opinion about that. I've written about it, and it's also in the social media. I've issued a statement to that effect. I don't want to discuss about that.
Okay, now,
right?
Lastly, there is this allegation that you brought Simon Ekpa to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. There was an information that one of the lawyers that got a message to broadcast on Radio Biafra shortly after Mazi Nnamdi, for Simon Ekpa to broadcast on Radio Biafra after Mazi Nnamdi Kanu'S rendition, and people were saying you were the person. But before then, I saw where Aloy Ejiofor granted interview on TVC that when the media person was asking him that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has issued a warning to Simon Ekpa to stop broadcasting, and then that Simon Ekpa responded that he will not take order from Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Now, I know Ejiofor, dodged that question, but what he said is that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said that Simon Ekpa and his people and his followers are his disciples. Now, pinning Simon Ekpa on Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, but it was alleged that you were the first person that contacted Simon Ekpa through that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu contacted Simon Ekpa through.
Okay.
How true is that allegation?
It's a very pertinent question for me to also clarify. My house was invaded for the second time June 60 to 21, shortly before he was arrested, abducted in Kenya and extraordinary rendition. Then I was still in the process of recovering from the process when he was brought in here. So then it was I had said this about before now. It was my lawyer that went to see, and then along with Nneka Ejiofor for them. So the message to Simon Ekpa to broadcast on Radio Biafra was passed on Nneka Ejiofor, not my own Ejiofor. I never had discussion with him.
Oh, okay. That was where that mistake came from.
Not me. It was Nneka Ejiofor that passed the message to Simon Ekpa to broadcast on Radio Biafra. Even at the point the US called me to seek clarification from Nnamdi Kanu on why he should give that direction, but they stopped him. They said no, that it has to be scrutinized Simon Ekpa and level of impact and step they took, because there was some step they took. They made some step to get at me, right? It was clear. What I'm saying before you today is before the intelligence community. They made some step to get at me at the point in question. So there is no threat I will see today emanating from any quarter that I'll be afraid of. And let me use this opportunity to tell them, no matter where you're hiding from, and they should threaten me, I will address it publicly, and also those I prefer can identify will go to court. The fact you are anywhere you are cannot resurrect you, because Facebook can identify those who are handling it, who have their accounts in Facebook, can identify them. So, and those who are issued threats to me, I know them. When I identify them, I'll take action against them.
Okay. Now, thank you very much for all this clarification. Igbo, like I said, Anyamanju Jodare Wenelu. Okay, and this backing and harassment will not stop us from Eden Touch. I can make also come an interview. Can want his own side of the story. You don't just rise and start accusing people falsely, and then when people rise to defend themselves, you now use a blackmail that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is being attacked. If I want to attack Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, I will attack Mazi Nnamdi Kanu directly. You can see by the stage of I made it clear, we are not here to actually talk about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu or his personal life, because he didn't make it public. We are here to discuss those things that his siblings and his followers made public. You can't just come out and then go to any length just to attack people. Look at a fine lawyer that defended Mazi Nnamdi Kanu on pro bono. Like I said, IPOB is an organic thing. My own effort, I spent my money to support, but today you can see what is happening. But you know what? And I stand to be corrected that Simon Ekpa scenario will never happen to us again. And that is why we are doing this. This set of people that that brought this guy out of their greed, they jailed their brother. Out of their greed, so many people died in the southeast. Now they are looking for a way to, bring up another group that will continue from where they stopped. And I will use this opportunity again to plead with Igbo people. Please, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. And they have leadership. Alright? If you want to donate money, because it is all about this money. If you want to donate money, please donate it through IPOB. At least they have their account. It will be properly accounted for. If Mazi Nnamdi Kanu comes out and there will be audits, it will be properly accounted for. But these ones you are giving to Aloy, Ejiofor, Emmanuel Kanu, and all of them, they will just come up because of the love we have for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, because of the belief in the country that is to come. They think that they can hang on it and blackmail us, intimidate us, and do whatever they like. Like I said, if they want to keep Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in prison, that is their problem. But we'll move on. And IPOB will move on. Alright? And I still maintain that there is no how Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will lead IPOB from prison. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu leading IPOB from prison, it now means that IPOB is in the hands of the federal government. Anybody saying this are part of those that coerce him to appoint Simon Ekpa. We know the end result. For 3 years, we were kept under siege. Our youths were killed. Our youths were jailed. We couldn't go home. People were giving out their children in marriage in foreign countries. We cannot go home and bury our dead. Some villages today are still under siege. And we say, no matter what, we are here to tell the truth the way it is. In your discourse, please don't bring it out. If you bring it out, we will respond. If you put Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's name there, we'll also respond. And I use this opportunity to call on Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, put your house in order. At this point, we have come to the end of this interview. I don't know if I will read some messages. Here. I don't know if we can, with the level of envy and jealousy melted up at MKA by so-called some of evil. Now, unfortunately, my brother, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, is in jail. We didn't send him to jail. His brothers did. His siblings did. All we are asking for is that we want to live. We all cannot die because of one man. All right? You can see what the lawyer said. He tried his best. He got him discharged and acquitted. So if you are angry, please carry. If you are angry that you're over Southeast, and we are looking for a way to bring the glory of Southeast back. People say with their life to, yes, people pay with their lives to defend MNK, and we are talking rubbish. That is it. People die. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is the safest Igbo man in Nigeria today. If you don't know it now. Most of our youths cannot sleep with their eyes closed because on your Biafra abrona IPOB. So him na you know, but let us all rise, join hands. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu should get his brothers out of the way. Kandi Igbo nyaka popotia or nyagwa ima IPOB or family business on your park ya anyala happy business ya. I have my business. Or know his personal NGO he should come out and say so. As na atụkata eze anya, ekpuru ekete n'iru, gwa ya okwu. Ndewo.